hopefully streaming. Let's see, give it a second or two. Let me check if my microphone is turned on. It is on. I should be live. There we go. Anyway, so this one will be making a spray can. So let's jump straight into Blender. We'll model our can, then we'll texture it, and then we'll make it into juice. 3 steps. Anyway, let's start with the can. Really straightforward. So we have can references here. Have a can, just to have as a reference. There's loads of cans that you can reference. Doesn't need to look 100% like it, like I said. But just this is going to be short. I'm trying to keep this nice and short. So there we go. Let's go. Let's get started. So we're going to use a mesh. We'll break this down into like segments, so it'll be easier to, So this will be the main can. Boop. Done. That's the body of the can. We've done it. Now we can model the rim as well out of this if we want, but I'm going to kind of save some time and Control C, Control V, and move this up and scale this down. Like I said, this is not 100% modeling tutorial. It's more of just showing you like a process or workflow. If you wanted to get a model in, make it into then get it out. But I'm not doing like correct techniques or workflows 100%. There we go. Anyway, let's inset this, offset like this, and move this, extrude this down. So we have a kind of like this. Then we have the cap at the bottom, you see. Really, we don't need this face here. This is unnecessary face. Also, this one I'll leave. This one we'll fix in a second. So I'll just leave that there, and that can just kind of sit on the top, like so. Now I'm going to hit Control A, apply scale. Then what I'm going to do is add some bevels on here. So the first thing I want to do is select this loop and this loop. Scale this closer together and out. And then what I'll do is say bevel edges, which will give, hopefully, there we go, and add a few segments in here. There we go. Just make it a tiny bit more rounded. There we go. Now I can move this down. So now we've got that kind of lip, and then on the inner edge we want to bevel that too. So we just bevel edge, and we're going to increase the count. Boop, boop. There we go. Nothing too serious. Not so serious. Why so serious? And let's move this up. Now this face here, there's a face in the middle. I just want to scale this in. There we go. And you can move this up or down how much you want. There we go. We have a little plate that can sit on here. There we go. Right click, shade smooth by angle. It doesn't look too bad. We could also maybe add a subdivision modifier on here. There we go. That looks a lot cleaner. Here we can just say shade smooth by angle. There we go. So we've got the top done. Let's just do the bottom quickly. Bottom I'll do slightly different. Or should I? Actually, what I can do is just take this top, Control C, Control V. I'm just trying to like speed up this whole process. I'm gonna flip it. I mean, we may not see the bottom anyway. I'm just gonna pop out this side menu here. So there we go. Oops. And move this up. There we go. I'm going to delete this top face here. I'm going to delete that face, because we don't want this face to kind of go into it. So I'm just going to scale it in and drag it up, like so. And if I delete this bottom face, whoop, there we go. And now we've got this concaved cap at the bottom. Now, not the best topology in the world. Let's just turn off this modifier right here. We don't need the subdivision on this bottom one. We can fix this ourselves. So we're going to go into edit. I'm going to turn off this sharp. I don't like by default that it turns on now. It's annoying. I ain't gonna lie. Where is it? See, I can't even find. There we go. I've done check sharp. There we go. Select this edge mode here. Bevel edges, and I'm just gonna expand this out. There we go. And then this edge here, I'm just gonna say remove this. I want this edge crease to kind of go away. So, where is it? Edge crease. I think we want to go down. There we go. Why is it not going away? Let's bevel this edge again. Bevel edge. Bring the segments down and then expand that. Hopefully that'll help. This edge here is not going. It's annoying. Shade smooth. No. Select this edge. This edge, please. Where's the edge? Edge crease. I don't know why that's not smoothing. Sorry. Ah, look at it, because it's so flat. It's so flat. Okay, that makes sense now. That makes sense. Let's do this proportional editing. Try to bring this up. I forgot the button. Oh, it's middle mouse wheel. There we go. And bring this up. Let's bring it down. Yeah, almost. I'll get away with that. No one's gonna really go underneath it, but I'm just being picky. Anyway, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Anyway, we have that anyway. Let's go up here. This top face here on the inset one, like this, and extrude up. And kind of, oops. There we go. Little. We'll cover this, so I'm going to just apply this modifier. Shade smooth. I don't like that already. So what I'm going to do is Control plus face. Then we've got underneath, we don't need all of this. Control plus delete face. There we go. Can I select this edge loop? There we go. Oh, because I got can I smooth vertices? Let's smooth. There we go. That's better. Not so jagged. Like I said, I'm not really thinking too much about the whole thing. I just want a model so we can turn it interactive. Anyway, we have a can. Let's make the little cap that sits on the top. So we're going to use a UV sphere. Move it up here. Scale it down so it sits above. I'm going to go to X-ray mode and wireframe. Look at it from the side. So I want to delete these faces. Edit mode. Delete. Let's actually delete these faces. Boop. There we go. Now we can kind of scale this in a little bit. Move it up like so. Edit mode. Let's select these outer edges. ES. Extrude out. And let's bring this down a tiny bit. Oh, and the E, sorry, and then extrude again. Why is it not moving? Okay, so we've got that. E, S, okay. Now I can bring this down. Oh, because I've got proportional editing. Uncheck proportional editing. There we go. S, and then there we go. That's the proportional editing was scaling everything, which we didn't want. There we go. Okay, let's turn this back on. There we go. That looks better. This edge here, we want to bevel the edge like so. Let's say 3 and then just expand that. Let's round this edge here too on the inside. Bevel edge. That can be a bigger bevel. Like so. Now this this side, I'm going to faces. I'm going to select all these faces here. Let's just delete faces. Now select this edge here. E, extrude in, and then I'm going to do E to extrude out. That can kind of be what the nozzle sits on, the little thing, you know, the little cap thing the spray comes out of. Is it a nozzle? I think it's a nozzle. Anyway, so that'll be that. Let's take a look at the model in there. Shade smooth by angle. We'll turn this off. Okay, pretty much done. So you can see it didn't take too long. It's not the best model, like I said, but it's not the worst. We don't need we don't need more polygons on that because that's going to be covered. Let's make the cap. So let's get a cylinder. Boom. We'll keep it really simple. Something like this. There we go. Take a look at it from the side or the top. Select that top face. Scale it in. There we go. You can have some hairspray, or you can make it into, you know, spray can, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever you want to do. It could be lighter fluid. Please save this live stream. Oh yes, yes, I always do. Oh yeah, I do. Hello, Mohammed. But yeah, you'll find them either in the categories that they will go into. So it'll be in let me see if I can find it for you. I'll normally put them in their categories once I finish. So playlists, we got the Ventuz one. So here you go to this one will go into Ventuz tutorials like that. So these ones went into Ventuz tutorials or Blender tutorials, depending on what they are. I do put them in there. Anyways, let's finish this cap. So we don't need this extra poly underneath. So let's get rid of that. Oop. We don't need that. And let's add a solidify on here. Really simple. Okay, no worries. How's your day? Let's add some slices here so we can add a nozzle. Like we can add a circle here. Faces, these ones. Oh, actually I want to move these down a tiny bit so it's a bit more even. I want this to be, this is where the nozzle will be. I'm thinking, what's the best way? If I select this, I say I want to try something bevel vertices, bring that down so we have a bit more topology. Let's say 2. Then because we have the loop tools, when we say circle, and we get a nice topology for a circle. There we go. Then we can extrude this in. I'll just push this in there. It looks horrible. Don't worry, shade smooth. There you go. We can get away with that. No problem at all. Okay. Now, if I bevel, can I bevel these edges? So just to make it look a bit nicer, a little bit nicer. So, and select these edges here. Bevel edge. There we go. It's not the best in the world, like I said, but it's going to be so small, minuscule. No one's going to see it. No one will see. No one will see that, will they? They will see it. You can see. I can see it. You can see it. I'm just lying to myself. Okay. Maybe I'll just bevel those edges just to kind of. I'm gonna select these edges here. What's going on with the? Actually, what am I doing? Just put a modifier on there. I'm making my life extra work. Subdivision. There we go. Place this up. Oh no, place it after. There we go. That's not the best topology, but let's see if we can tidy this up a tiny bit. Edge crease. How's that looking? It's looking terrible. That's what it's looking like. It's looking terrible. Let's move these up. Edge crease. I don't know. This might look. I might have made it worse. I did make it worse. Maybe I'm not gonna do that. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna worry too much about that. Don't worry. I'll get away with it. I'm sure I will. Look how small that is. We're gonna be like here. I'm being so picky. Anyway, we got our parts. Let's just combine these two together. So I'm just gonna right click and say drawing. And so we only have 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm gonna name this body. This will be the rim. This will be the cap. Or nozzle. Let's call this nozzle. Nozzle or Ellie. I don't know. And this will be, I don't know, let's call that the cap. There we go. Cool. So we have a spray can. Now we need to apply some materials to this. Right, so we can move on to the next stage. Don't forget to save your work at every stage. Spray can. I'll save this scene. You never know. Anything can crash. Alright. So, new material. Give this a color. No, it doesn't matter what colors we give these. What will matter is the name. So I'm just going to give these random colors. These are just like color IDs. So when we take them into Substance, we can, we know what's what. It doesn't matter. There we go. So these materials, where instead of calling it material 1, name it what the actual thing is. So this is the body. It just makes it helps you identify, the materials and the textures later. So cap, nozzle, and rim. There we go. So now we got that. We need to do some UV mapping. So let's check the UV mapping on this. Vertical split. Let's go to UV editor here so we can see what our objects look like. Now this should be straightforward. We can just mark a seam somewhere. So let's do, say, here. At the back, more likely, because we're not going to look at that. So we'll focus on this side, on the side here. So let's have our seam here. But there's always, naturally, there's a seam here anyway, on these kind of labels or cans, because that's how they put them together. But anyway, mark a seam, and I'm going to just say A. I'll just say UV unwrap. Boom. Anyway, it is fine. That does it anyway. Fine. Now this is a bit more complicated, so I'm just going to say UV. I have to do it in this one. Let's just do a smart UV project. Okay. Or do I want to set a seam? So I don't want any seams on the top here. Maybe I don't mind it being here. Sorry, let me set a seam on here. UV, mark a seam, and let me go into X-ray mode here. Let's mark that as a seam. If I add the seam as well on the back here, like here, hopefully it will be better. Unwrap. I'll have to do it in this window. I don't understand why you have to do it in this window, but maybe that's better. Maybe we'll have less seams visible. Okay, so we've done that. This one as well. Let's just do UV unwrap. Let's just do smart. Or should I do this? Did I just do that one? Nope, I did not do this. Okay. And then let's select this bottom edge loop. UV mark seam. Let's mark a seam here. Mark a seam here. I don't know how that will unwrap, but we'll see. Kind of like an umbrella. Yeah. It's cool. Anyway. This one, I'm going to just do auto. Have I got any modifiers on here? I'm going to apply this. Smart UV project. Yeah, that's okay. That'll do. That'll do. Cool. So, have we done this one? Yeah, we've done this. Did we do this one? Oh, that's the base. That's okay. And then that's the top. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We got some kind of UV mapping. All right. So I'm going to just say save, export. If we need to come back, we can come back. Export that as a FBX. Now pop open and launch Substance Painter. And we can minimize this. Substance Painter will pop open. Sorry if I'm going a bit too fast. I don't want to like waffle on. You can like, you know, spend time perfecting your UV maps and your models. Because that's our point. Let's go here. Select. We want the spray can. I'm going to say 2048 DirectX. We don't need auto unwrap. It looks okay. Alright, it's not the best in the world, but it looks okay. And I can see here, because there's no back face, I can see here there's a hole because there's no back face. Little things like that, you know, you might want to fix. And here, like I can notice it here too, but for this we might get away with it. I'm going to just hit bake selected. We'll notice anything wrong with the textures, but bake looks okay. Doesn't look too bad. I don't see any major issues in that. Oh, I can see a seam. I see the seam. I thought I saw the seam. This is very dark. Anyway, let's go to materials. Let's drop in some materials. So we want this to be nice and glossy. So let's go for glossy plastic, glossy plastic. So this will be our, can color. Then we want some aluminium. So let's get some aluminium. Oh, and let's get some chrome as well. Let's put some chrome on this. There we go. I'm not going to spend ages on this, like I said. Sorry about that. On the chrome, I'm just going to wear away the chrome so then it just reveals the aluminium underneath. So we just add some kind of, rust. Let's add some rust on there. Oops, not like that. Do it like this. There we go. And that looks a lot better. There we go. So we've got some, and we'll repeat that on. You can play around with the settings, and you can tweak how much you want on that texture, the global, overall. On the texture, I like that. All right, it's not too bad, not too shabby. And again, oh, let's do it on. Let's close this. We want it on the rim, so I want the same thing. I'm going to do this stainless scratches on the rim. There we go. And I can adjust that, sharpen the contrast. Maybe it's a bit more shinier. There you go, I like that. The cap, pretty straightforward. We're going to go with any color, it doesn't matter. Let's go for this. Should we go for the plastic? Let's go for this glossy plastic, like so, and we changed that blue to a white, like so. There we go. Now it's a bit dark because of the way it baked it. Oh, sorry, Mark seam. Oh, can you explain a little bit functions when you make the seams? I don't know about UV unwrapping. So, let me go there. So you see, what's a good example? So when you unwrap a cardboard box, so you have a box. So this box here, and a seam is the edge. So you're marking where the edge is for it to unfold. Like so, you can see here by default, this default cube has these seams marked. So it unfolds like in packaging. So you're marking that seam. So this is where I want to unfold this to put a texture. So I don't know if that helps explain it. So if I change this, say let's just mess up these UVs on purpose. So let's just say, okay, so that's wrong. Yeah, so that's completely wrong. So I can say, okay, I want to mark these seams. So you can say select all these sharp edges, and then I can say mark the seams. So I know these are all the edges that I want to unfold, and then I can go select all the faces, UV, and then unwrap. Now I have each individual face unfolded. It's not in the correct order like how a box would unwrap, but now I have each face. Now I can texture each face of these because these are the edges. I've marked the edges, and then that's the face. I hope that makes sense. I might be talking complete rubbish, but hopefully that makes sense. So your textures won't be distorted if it's going to go, from there to there, or depends on how you want to do this or how your object is. But yeah, hopefully that explained it. But there's a tons of video on UV mapping and stuff like that. That's a whole subject on its own. Which is it's worth looking into. And then there's stuff like where you have, I mean, there are tools that do auto UV mapping, but then you don't have certain control over certain things like Packer.io. Yeah, yeah, thanks. It will be experience about that. Oh yeah, UVing is important. It's an important thing to learn. Definitely. So definitely do that. But there's like you do have. It depends on what you want. But you can see here, these are the UV mapping, and then if I go pack, and then this will unwrap that model for me. Uh, where is it? So there's different, different ways of doing it, but you can see here, it's just the way the texture's wrapping, so you don't want it to distort and warp. So you see here, that's where I marked that seam, and it seemed to pick it up. So I picked up that seam here, and then it's kind of trying to wrap it. So yeah, you want to avoid where you don't want something like that. You'd probably want it more hidden, but as you can see here on the can, you can't see that seam because it's nicely done. But yeah, that's a whole subject on its own, worth looking into. Oops, let's go back to this. So we've got a cap, we have a can. I'll leave this as I want to change the black on the can. I want to turn this to white. So body. Let's turn this plastic here and just change the uniform color to white. Actually, I'll leave it black for now. Let's add some fingerprints. Let's add some fingerprints to this. So I'm just going to go new layer. We can just paint on some. We can just paint on some fingerprints, right? I'll stamp them on. Should we put a footprint? What the heck? There's footprints. But yeah, we can put a fingerprint on here. There's foot, but where's the fingers? There you go, fingers. Like so. And if I do this, we've got some fingerprints. I forgot how you rotate this. There was a way to rotate. Angle. There we go. I don't know the shortcut, but boom. Let's put some fingerprints on here. There we go. Someone's been holding the can. There we go. Okay, so these are fingerprints, and I'll just adjust this layer. If I can go here. So we don't want color. We don't want. Do we want height? We can keep height. Let's keep that. Let's keep height and roughness, baby, and bring that down. I don't know if that's actually doing anything or not. I can't see. I don't see it doing anything. I'll bring the opacity down. Yeah, let's keep that for now. It might turn out okay. Let's bring it down a little bit more. Okay, I'm happy with that. So that paint can, we're gonna edit this color. Don't worry, this will be editable, so we can change the color of the can outside of this. So what I want to do is leave that actually as white for now. Boom. Okay. Now I'm happy with that. I mean, if you want to make any changes, say to the cap, for example, maybe the cap, you can change that. On the cap, sorry, the nozzle. Actually, I don't mind it. It's okay. I'll leave it as it is. I'm going to go File, Export Textures. I'm going to choose Blender. So I'm going to go to Blender. Principal BSDF. And we're going to direct it to our project folder. So on here, I've got in my Blender folder, and then in the spray can, I'm going to say I want the textures to go in here. So set to Blender, PNG is fine. These are all the materials we want to export. Boom. Now if we jump back into Blender, so you can close this and minimize this. If you want to save that, so you can come back if you need to do any changes. Now make sure you have the node wrangler on. This will save you a lot of time, mapping the textures rather than doing each individual channel, like roughness, color, base color, and all sorts. So you can see here, like you don't want to go file, add the texture, then do the UV mapping, and put the whole string. All you have to do is click here on that material, Control Shift T, and then you select the body material. So these are all the body textures, and say boom, apply, and you can see it applies it here, and it loads each texture into the right slot, and you got the mapping all done for you. It's perfect. And then we'll repeat that process. So we just do the same thing, Control Shift T, and then this is the rim. So we're looking for rim texture. So all of these, boom, and then the cap, Control Shift T, cap, and then we've got the nozzle, Control Shift T. There we go. So now we have a can in our scene. Now I'm going to take it out. If you do want to continue in Blender, of course you feel free to render it in here. You can like texture this up, and the cool thing is because you can change all of this and you can edit this in here. But what I want to do is make this interactive. So I'm going to select this file, export. I want it as a GLTF, yeah, and I'm going to export it to my spray can folder. Boop. Give that a second, and then we're going to minimize. Now we're going to go open up Ventuz Designer. So give this a second to pop open. If you haven't used Ventuz, it's great software. You make interactive content, broadcast content, all sorts. Anyway, we're going to go to experimental. I'm going to put in my experimental projects, and what we're going to do is drag and drop our spray can into our scene. So you can just drag and drop, so you can go whoop, drop it in, and you can see here we have our spray can with all the materials, right? And you can see some of the highlights, the scratches and stuff. So the PBR material is there. So let's just, first thing is first, let's light this up. So I'm going to remove this geometry import node. So now I'm happy with this. I'm going to go to toolbox, and we're going to search for PBR. I'm going to place this PBR box in front. And on the PBR box, I'm going to load in my own HDR, this one. You can use Ventuz's default ones, but I do have a HDRI somewhere in here. And if I can find it, let's do this one, this studio. I think I got this from HDRI Haven. And if I rotate this, you can see I'm picking up all those highlights, and we can see all the roughness and stuff like this. But the reason I left this can white, it allows us to change the color in here. So if I click on the base, I'm going to turn that base off. So we don't want this base material. I'm going to leave these two here, the normal maps and the component. I'm going to just turn this off. Okay. And then here, what we can do is now change the base color to what we want. So now you can make this, you can have different colors. So maybe you want to make an interactive color wheel that allows you to change the spray can's color in real time. And, the user can interact and change what color they want coming out of it. Anyway, so let's make this interactive. So what we want to do next, and of course, the cool thing is about Ventuz is you can add textures on top of this. So if you want to add decal to your texture, or so if I said I want to add another texture on top of this decal, I can blend that decal in, and then can load in, say, let's see if I got a PNG or something. Okay, I'll just use this from an old project, and I can just change that UV mapping to UV0. Boop. I can scale this down and move this up. Now I want to get rid of the clamp, So change that to advanced. I want to change this to border. Alright. And we don't want white, so I'm going to turn that to 0. I'll just make that black as well. There you go. So now, I can put a label on that can, and you can see if I can move it around. And that's real time. So I could change this texture in real time. That doesn't have to be a texture. It could be a video. And it's all real time and it's interactive. It's cool. So yeah, but experiment, try different things. It doesn't have to be that as well. It can be whatever you want. Like I said, I just did whatever texture I had available. I mean, I can swap this out for a completely different texture. Let's find another one. I don't know. In this project anyway. Let's just stick a flag on there. This is whatever this Australian flag or British flag. You can stick a flag on there, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There you go. Anyway, so that's just the cool thing about Ventuz you can do, and it's all real time. Anyway, what I want to do is to make this interactive. So I want us to be able to press this nozzle, and we're gonna have some kind of spray coming out of the top. So let's just zoom in here. Let's just like nice and close to that nozzle, and let's see where that nozzle is. So that's the nozzle there. So let's rotate this around. What we want to do is actually parent another axis under this nozzle, so it will come under here. So we're going to go to world. Sorry, I was waffling on a little bit. And what we want to do is go to geometry, and we want to add a particle system, and we want to choose right click, choose the particle system with source and sprite, and you can see it's there, right? Now you can choose to scale it up from here to make your life a little bit easier, and you can rotate that 90 degrees, minus 90, and of course we want to do this minus 90, and we're just going to position this up and move this out. And if I rotate this, probably in the wrong place, yes. So we're going to try and match this as much as we can. There we go. There we go. So we have something. So we have some kind of particle system coming out of there. Now it's not the best particle system right now. So what we want to do is change some of these settings in our particle system. So we're going to go here. Now we can increase the rate. So I'm going to say 200. So we've got a few more. And let's make these a little bit smaller. Sprays, that looks more like a spray, right? In terms of color on that sprite, what I want to do is take this no light where it says base color, and I want to actually link it to the body. So I'm going to hold shift and select these two together, so the body color and this spray color. I'm going to go down to the base color here and drag this to the body color and say I want to link it to base color. So now whatever the base color represents is what that spray will be. So I don't know how easy it is to see this on the stream right now, the particle sizes, so I can increase that particle size just to make it more visible on stream. I don't know if the encoding's great, how great the encoding is on YouTube, but you can see here if I change the color, our spray now matches that too. So whatever our can color is, our spray color is too. But what we want to do, we don't want a continuous spray. What we want is when we hold down this, we want this to spray, right? And then also we can change how far as well. So maybe let's change not the Z, Y, X. Nah, let's leave it like this. It's fine. Maybe one more spread. I don't know. Or it depends. We'll play around with that. Anyway, let's add simulation. So we're going to go to this module. We're going to add a simulation. So the cool thing about simulation is now if we go to here, you can say disable, enable, disable, enable. But you can also do bursts. So if I disable that and do bursts, you can do bursts. So every time I click, I can do bursts of particles. And if, you know, but what I want is actually leave the enable up. So it's always like this. And actually, let's animate the nozzle. Just ignore the particles for now. So I'm gonna just pick Control B. Let's just do one thing at a time. I'm kind of too focused on that. But let's animate this without using any animation nodes. So we're gonna just use values and maths effects. So we're gonna go to our Logic tab, and let's say we're gonna use maths effects. Like I said, we're going to use a linear node. So under maths effects, if I can find it, there, maths effects, we're looking for the linear node. We're going to drop this in. Now, what it allows us to do is we want to go between two positions. All right. So say position 1, which is this, so which will be 6.1. I'm going to copy this and paste this into target 1. And then target 2 will be when it's pressed down. So you can choose how far you want it pressed down. I'm going to say there. I'm happy with that. Copy this, and this will be my target 2. So now if I use the use target, if you look at the output here, when I toggle this, it goes between the two values. Alright. And it'll take 1 second to reach that value. So what I can do now is link the Y to the linear node, and then if I press it, you can see we've got a little animation without having to animate. Right, we're just using the maths node to go between two values. Now this is just very linear. Of course, you can use a ease node or oscillator, entirely up to you. And you can also increase that duration, you know, how fast that is. Okay, so let's make this interactive. So we have an animation, but how do we connect this to our interaction? So we need a touch button. So we're going to go interaction, touch button, and we're going to say, okay, the nozzle's the touch button. I'm going to place it in front. So anything connected to that nozzle or anything after this is what you can click. Okay, and I'm going to shift select the nozzle axis, which will bring up the linear node. And what we'll do is take this, use target, drop it on our button, and we'll link it to touch pressed. So now when I hold it down, it goes down. If I release the mouse, it stays. If I do it like, if I just tap it, it'll just do small bursts. So if I hold it down, it will hold that spray. So you know, you have a lot of options there now. So it's not just a press next. It's not a state animation. It's actually reacting to what you're doing. Cool. And the same goes for the spray. So now if we unblock the spray, what we want to do is hold shift select the spray system and the nozzle. And what we want to do is we want a linear node to do the spray. So we're going to get linear node. So you can hit spacebar and go linear node and search for the node, or you can go up to here into Logic tab, Maths Effects, right click, and then get a linear node out of there. And what we want to do is have a value of 0 to 100, right? And we know the use target will go to our touch button, so it'll be on touch pressed. So if you watch the values here, we're at 0. When we press it, we go to 100, right? So the value we want to control on here is the amount. So we're going to just control this amount. So we'll just link that to our linear node. Right now, we're not pressing on it, so there's no spray. Press down for release, get a nice, just fades off. There we go. So now we have an interactive spray can. You can move around as well, and you can see if I move this around, boop, now we can spray that. Cool. And same for if you want to say make this whole can shake, you can do that too. So for example, I don't know, every time you click it or like this, whatever you want, you can link that to a click. So you could have, well, when I click this, or when I shake this, or when I hold down on this can, you can do that. Or if you want the user to be able to move this can around on the screen, for example, you could say use there's so many interaction nodes. I'll leave this up to you to experiment, but I'll just show you. For example, say I put a touch translation on this group. Now I can move this anywhere on the screen, and then I can click on the nozzle, and then and that would be interactive. However, I don't want that to be, let's say, mesh. Does that work? Yeah, there you go. So now I can move this around and click on the spray can, boop, and that can do that. I can also do shake, whatever. Or you can have different sounds. You can have sounds depending on what the value is. There you go. But we've got a spray can. Now this is very hard to see, so what I'm going to do is just increase those particle size, so you can see it better. There you go. So you can see we do have particle size. Let's go to life and let's say maybe 5. There we go. So they last a bit longer. Of course, you can add more. What I've done here, you can add more. If you want to add some kind of gravity to that, you can just drop in gravity, boom, and say, okay, on the Y, the particles will kind of drop. Oh, maybe not on the Y. It'll be maybe on something like the X, because I've rotated the main axis. There you go. Maybe it's not a spray can. Maybe it's a water fountain. It could be whatever you want. It could be filling up an object. So as they press this could be filling up something else. Entirely up to you. And like I said, colors can be changed because we've linked that. So you can link this and change the color, and of course that will change in real time. Now, if you want to make that spray look more, more interesting, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I said, play around with the particle system. I'm not going to go too much into it. I mean, you could try. Let's see. I mean, we could try to put a curl noise in here. It might be too much. Let's put the percentage down. Let's see what happens. Bring this up. There you go. You see, it went all crazy, but yeah, you can see. We get kind of crazy effects going on. A little bit up, so we can see it happening. There you go. You can see. There you go. It'll just give you an idea. Maybe you don't want the gravity. There you go. But now we've got this kind of, yeah. But just experiment. Depends on the look you're trying to go for. Like I said, and you don't need to use this texture for your particles. This could be anything. This could be diamonds. It could be your own texture. It could be, doesn't have to be that. So you can see it looks completely different depending on what texture you're using. Let's stick a mover on this rotation here so we can see the lighting change on our materials. You can show this off if you want. Just to go here, say linear. Oop, it's going too fast, so of course we want to slow this down a lot more. Oop, a lot more. There we go. But there you go. Feel free to experiment. Like I said, you don't need to use these. But you can lay your textures. So you can do all your textures in Blender, Substance, whatever, and then continue to add more textures on, like decals, as I showed you here. You can add additional textures in here and layer them up. There's no rules on what textures you use, and you can play around with the mapping. Hopefully that gives you an idea of the flexibility and how cool it is. You can do that in real time as well, so which is cool, right? Totally up to you, but that could be a label, different products, and whatever it is. Or you can just say I don't want no texture. Now if I put this on the mover, so if I get something like a HS3 just to finish up, and then I'll call it an end to the stream, because I didn't want to waffle on too much. But we know this value is going from 0 to 360, So I'm gonna get a mover. But I do suggest maybe you try to make a color picker that allows you to change the color. So maybe you make an interactive menu here, change the colors, and then your particles change size. But you can see the particles are way too small now to see. So let's make that bigger. Let's see. There we go. Maybe bigger. Let's reset this to 1. There we go. That looks better. Maybe even bigger than that. There we go. But yeah, like I said, there's no rules on what you do. There you go. You can see that. At least that's more visible for you to see. Anyway, back to this. So I'm going to say 0 to 360. I'm going to say maybe over 20 seconds. This value will change. And the base color will just come from here. So now this will change over 20 seconds. Please insert retry. But I got my license is plugged in. What are you talking about? Anyway, if I take the base color and link it to the HSV, there you go. So you can see the colors changing as we click this. You can move it around. There you go. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. What else could I think of before I go? I think that's all I can think of. Maybe you want to expand that lifetime on the lifetime. I don't know, 20 seconds. They last longer. Entirely up to you. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, morning, evening, wherever you are. Thank you again. Of course, you can rotate this as well. Like I said, if you want it facing forward, rotate this, play around. I'm not a fan of the stars, but yeah, just to show you and give you an idea. Like I said, there's no rules to what you do. There we go. I'm just going to sit here and play for a little bit, just messing around. Let's make this look a little bit better. And what I'll do is go here. I'll just say I don't want it visible. So now I can see the particles a lot better, but I can see the light is changing. Kind of move this up and scale this down. I might do something like crazy, like get a spreader. Put this in. Say no. Boop. Boop. Like this. Move this back. Say, mirror that. Expand. There we go. Got some crazy motion graphics. Maybe it's for a hairspray advert. Maybe it's for a spray can advert. I don't know. Whatever you want. Maybe it's an interactive one. Maybe it's going on a billboard. Maybe it's going on the LED wall. Maybe it's not. There you go. And then I spray. They all spray. Right? It's insane, right? And it's all real time. So you can see all the particles. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, enjoy your day. Don't forget to experiment. Don't be afraid. Press all the buttons. See what happens. You never know what you come across and what you can, what you create. Bye bye.